What a difference a few verses make. In the account of our Lord speaking in the synagogue, we go from hearing that all spoke well of him and were amazed at his gracious words, to that very same group expressing rage and leading him to the brow of the hill to throw him off. Contentment, amazement to murderous intent, with just a few carefully chosen words from our Lord in between. What happened? Well, the words that have caused such outrage are words from our Lord that tell those in the synagogue something that they are now willing to hear. They are seemingly happy to take that what they have in front of them is someone indeed very special, someone with authority, in whom God is at work in some sort of way. And very importantly, this someone and God is at work with and for them. However, those few words about our Lord, about Elijah and Elisha, suggest that God can and does work outside the boundaries of Israel, even to the point, seemingly, of favouring those outside Israel. And this is too much for the people to stomach. Now, there are several points worth exploring here, but there are two in particular that stand out. One is the basic reaction of the people, and the other, following on from that, has to do with our mission as Christians and features of it that are a fundamental part of the lives of all the baptized. So to the first, we might be puzzled as to why the people react so strongly to the news that God's work, God's action, is not confined to Israel. However, when we understand that what our Lord says strikes at the very heart of the identity of those who are listening, we should come to realize why it matters so much to them. It helps us to realize perhaps that there is good news that we want to hear, good news which is affirming, comforting, welcome and exciting, but that there can also be truths that God would bring to us that are not quite as welcome or comfortable, and that can strike us as a particular group of believers or as individuals. Such moments are difficult because they touch on assumptions we have made which need to be updated or expanded, because our understanding of present reality is perhaps too restricted or even incorrect. Perhaps they might also come in moments when we examine our conscience and we see behavior at an individual level that is hard to accept, or where the challenge comes to us through another person perhaps, who says something about one of our vices or our lack of virtue in some way, and it might sting and rebuke us. So whilst we are happy to be affirmed and comforted by the gospel, the more challenging aspects that most certainly come to each and every one of us are far less welcome, and we would gladly at times pretend that it doesn't matter, ignore the challenge, or even, as it were, reject the message altogether. However, those challenges do indeed come to us when we recognize the voice of the Lord in that challenge. And so the question comes, how do we respond? Do we ask the Lord for the grace to stay and confront in us that which needs to be healed and reshaped? Or do we explain it away, ignore it? If our Lord takes us to places that are difficult or painful for us, do we remain with him to be healed, to be strengthened, and to be made whole? And to the second point, in today's gospel, the truth that our Lord brings to the people of the synagogue is not just important for them personally and for their self-understanding. It is of the highest importance for others, for the mission which our Lord has come for. Our Lord comes with comfort, affirmation, challenge, and transformation not simply for us and for our own sake, but so that the life-giving love and mercy we receive might be shared with others and shared freely and widely. What is given to us, then, is given also to be shared. But in the sharing, we should also be aware, as our Lord experienced himself today, that even what has transformed, challenged, bruised, and redeemed us need not necessarily be welcome also to others. And so we discover in our being transformed, in our going out to bring the message of the gospel to others, that we ourselves may face difficulties and troubles of all sorts.